for you to reference. Wonderful. We will be recording this webinar for you to reference, and we will upload it to our YouTube channel and then our website. So if you wish to watch it again, you can do that. I'll send it out after the workshop here as well. And in the spirit of respect, truth, and reciprocity, we acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples who have lived in and cared for these lands for generations. We are grateful for the traditional elders and knowledge keepers who are still with us today, and for those who have gone before us. Thank you. So today we will be going over a few things. We're going to talk about what the Community Foundation is, our granting priorities for this year, the administration process, eligibility application process, and then just some general tips. The tips will be sprinkled in as we go through as well. Just as a kind of housekeeping items, we will do questions at the end, but I do encourage you to put questions in the chat box as we go through. So if you think of something, we can put it in there, and then I'll read those at the end. I would just ask if you can please mute yourself during the presentation here. And then again, when we get to that question time, we will open it up for everybody. And then one last thing is, if you would like to just watch the presentation and me, you can go to view and then select speaker mode. So it's just one face that you have to watch if it's too distracting. All right. So just a little bit of background on the Community Foundation. So we have 3 pillars: we grow, we give, and we inspire. And we grow by accepting donations from the general public, and we invest those donations into an endowment fund. So when the donation is made to the Community Foundation, it's never spent. It's invested, and that investment revenue is how we're able to give through grants, such as these community grants held in the spring and fall. And our 3rd pillar is that we inspire. So we inspire by working with community partners to help highlight the greatest needs in the region through our vital signs publications. These findings helps us determine our granting priorities each year. Our mission here at CFSCA is to create meaningful connections between donors and local charities for the permanent benefit of southeastern Alberta. All right, so this is just a quick little screenshot of our staff here at the office. Again, I'm Sydney. I oversee the granting process. I'm typically the main contact for all grant application questions. Chris is our interim executive director who oversees, well, everything at the foundation. Chris just started in January and would like to welcome you. Go ahead, Chris.
Thanks, Sydney. Can you hear me? I'm not
You're a little quiet. Just for me, maybe. I don't know. You can, maybe someone else. Can you give a thumbs up to Chris? Is she okay?
You hear me?
I can hear her. Yeah, I can hear her.
I can hear you, Chris.
Okay. Oh, thanks. Well, thanks. It's great to be back at the Community Foundation. I've been retired the last 3.5 years, so finally got grandchildren, traveled, did some volunteering, but I really missed the staff and the donors and the agencies and being connected with what's across southeastern Alberta. So I'm very excited to be back for a year to fill in for Nikki on her parental leave. Many of you know she had a baby boy, Cyrus James. Everybody else knows how much he weighed and how long he is, but I can't remember. Much is wonderfully the same here. And I really appreciate the young'uns' help with all this new fandangled technological IT stuff that has changed since I've been away. It's great to see so many community builders on this website. They're on this webinar. You know, you're the ones that make the difference. This is where the action and the impact happens, is at the grassroots level with agencies. And I just think you should all give yourselves a pat on the back for the work you do. It can be sometimes thankless, but oftentimes rewarding. The last thing I just wanted to just kind of drop, not in your lap, but this year we're really focusing on donor appreciation. We've had some feedback from donors, just several of them that give to agencies. how important it is for them to be appreciated and thanked. So whether it's a thank you note, if you do get a check from us that says it's from a specific donor, if you could please thank them. Send a note, a thank you note, invite them to attend your events, put their stories in your newsletters, anything, because it's that sort of wonderful donor stewardship that will motivate them, we believe, to keep giving. So those small gestures go a long way to build that continuous funding stream that we all want for you. But anyhow, that's enough of me. Great to be back, and take it away, Sid.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. So just a few more introductions here. Helen, as you see pictured here, she's our local contact and community fund coordinator for 40 Mile, Cypress County, and the District of MD of Acadia and special areas. Nicole is or Helen, do you want to say hi? That's okay. Nicole
Hello,
is
everybody.
There's Helen. Nicole is our local contact and fund coordinator for Brooks and District. I don't know if Brooke or Nicole's on the call here. So Barb is our finance coordinator. Bailey is our administrative coordinator. And Lauren is our vital signs researcher and project coordinator. So we all play a little bit of a role in grants, but some of it's a little more background than others. All right, so the Community Foundation has 2 community grant cycles in the spring and in the fall. Obviously today we are mostly talking about the spring, but there won't be many changes this year, looking at the spring and fall cycle as well. So if you're thinking of an idea and it's not quite ready yet and you want to wait to apply to the fall, that is completely an option as well. The spring deadline is March 15th. The fall deadline is September 15th. If that date falls on a weekend, it just gets pushed to the following Monday at noon. So just to provide some basic information of community grants, we provide up to $25,000 per grant, and an agency can only submit 1 application per cycle. We do have multi-year funding available, but it requires specific circumstances. The main reason we would allow second-year funding is if your project is brand new and it requires additional time to evaluate the outcomes. Additionally, if your project matches with the CFSEA's strategic plan, it may be considered for multi-year. So if you're applying for an ongoing program or equipment or a program we have previously funded, please do not check the box for multi-year funding on the application because those are not eligible. Just a little bit about our grants committee that reviews the community grants. When reviewing the community grants, our committee looks holistically to support all regions of southeastern Alberta as equitably as possible. The committee also prioritizes the impact of the grant. For example, does your project support a few members of a small specific community group, or does your project support the community as a whole? You can even think about what is the trickle-down impact that this project could have for generations to come. These are some questions our grants committee uses when reviewing. So our 2024 granting priorities are decided through annual vital events. Last year, we published our full vital signs report, which identified the following granting priorities in no particular order here: work and economy, connection and belonging, and basic needs, including food, health, and housing. We have also linked this report on our grant guidelines, so you'll find that on our community grants page on our website to read the full publication. You'll notice on the grant application, there is a question that asks, which priority does your project best align with? There is a other category, but do keep in mind our committee references the current vital publications during the review process to ensure they're evaluating appropriately based on the outcomes of the publication. So there are many worthwhile applications submitted each grant cycle, and I'm really excited to see what comes out of this one. As I was mentioning when people were logging on here, this usually the spring is our busy grant cycle, and it's full. A webinar is full when we have like 40 people signed up, and we're really excited. This webinar, we had 77 people sign up, which is incredible. I'm really excited to see what your ideas are and what projects and programs and yeah, support is going to come to our Southeast region. So as Chris said, give yourselves a pat on the back. I'm excited to see that the work that's coming and the amazing programs that are gonna start. So when our committee is reviewing these many grant applications, it can be quite a challenge because not everything can receive funding, which is why they do use a scoring scale, and keeping in mind things like impact, equitable regional support, and our vital signs. So just want to talk a little bit about who can apply. So organizations who hold a charitable registration number with the CRA, these we call qualified donees. So this would be a municipality or school division or a registered charity. You are eligible to apply. If you're not sure whether you're a registered charity or a qualified donee, you can visit the CRA list of charities page. If you are not a qualified donee, you have a couple of options. The first one would be to become a registered charity. However, I know this does take a few months and it may not be an option for you. The other option would be to partner with a qualified donee through an affiliation process. However, you must find a willing affiliate that makes sense for your nonprofit. Just kind of a side note, we have noticed become increasingly difficult to find affiliates in the last couple of years because of the administrative strain for qualified donees and the risk it poses to them. So please keep in mind, not every qualified donee you would like to use will be willing to affiliate with you. We are willing to work with you and kind of walk you through this process, as it can be kind of challenging. So do connect with us. A declaration of affiliation is a document that connects a qualified donee, such as a charity, municipality, or school division, with that non-qualified donee, that nonprofit, to receive the funds on the behalf of the nonprofit. So in addition to signing a declaration of affiliation, the qualified donee will also have to share their most recent year's financial statements and a list of board members with their contact information, just so you can be prepared what you're going to need to ask of the qualified donee. So just a little bit more information on the qualified donee thing. So when a non-qualified donee, so that nonprofit society, partners with a qualified donee, such as a charity, they must demonstrate that the funds were used for the intended charitable activities. They also must demonstrate that an active relationship exists between the two. So here's an example for you. If the non-qualified donee could be the Red Cliff Legion, they could partner with the town of Red Cliff, which is a municipality, so they are a qualified donee, for, say, a capital upgrade or a program. This affiliate must be a clear partnership. For example, it wouldn't make sense for the Red Cliff Youth Action Society, which is a qualified donee, to affiliate with the Red Cliff Legion for capital upgrades. That just wouldn't make sense. However, if they were partnering to put on a program for youth at the Legion, then that would be a direct partnership. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, you can pop questions in the chat box at any time if there's something that you want more clarity on. Essentially, that nonprofit or non-qualified donee must demonstrate that the funds are being used for the intended charitable activities. And yeah, just connect with the office if you are not a registered charity, and we can help walk you through this at any point. So on the screen is just a map of our area. In addition to having a CRA status, you also have to have a project that serves the communities across southeastern Alberta. So if you're looking if you're outside our area but looking to expand your project into southeastern Alberta, please focus on establishing a local collaboration and partnership before applying. In addition, we do encourage you to align your project with the Community Foundation's vision to support a vibrant, healthy, and caring community. We also recommend you be prepared to demonstrate that your project addresses a need that has been identified and explain how it was identified. So this could be through vital signs, it could be through your own agency's research, it could be through questionnaires or feedback from your community. However, the need has been established, we want to understand how this is a need for your community. Your application should also articulate measurable impacts on the community that you serve. All right, so we added this in a couple years ago just to provide some extra support. CFSEA will provide technology support such as one-on-one instructions for individuals unaccustomed to digital platforms. And to honor oral practices and accommodate those technical or physical barriers, we will accept recorded oral applications. So because this is a little more work for the staff, we just have a separate due date for this being March 5th. So if you do require one of these accommodations that technologically supported inputting the information for you or a recorded application, please connect with the office as soon as possible so we can get that set up. However, that ongoing support is always provided to anyone who needs it throughout the entire process, from the letter of intent all the way to the final report if you're approved for funding. So don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything that we can do to help, or if you just need to talk through your application. All right, so this gets into a little more of the details. Again, you will find all of this information in our grants guidelines. I'm just going through it a little more step by step and with some more kind of tips and background during this webinar. So what we will fund, there's a number of things we will fund, and we are trying to keep this as open as possible and respect that you know your agency best and that you know your community as well. So we can fund short or long-term projects. These can be either new or substantially enhanced ongoing projects. If it is a program that CFSEA has previously funded, you must be clear in explaining how you have enhanced that program. If we receive the same request year after year, there is quite a low chance that it will receive funding. We want to see how you've enhanced it and how it's supporting the community ongoing. We also this year, we have defined, hopefully more clearly, our operating expenses versus administrative expenses. We can cover a portion of both. So operating expenses can be up to 50% of the total grant and must pertain to the project. For example, program staff wages. So for example, say an animal shelter wanted to apply for $10,000 for a pet boarding program for people fleeing domestic violence. They could ask for $5,000 for the vet costs, care, feeding, those kind of things for the pets, and they could ask for $5,000 for the staff wages who take care of the pets. Administrative expenses are more broadly defined as costs related to regular business operations. So for example, rent, utilities, insurance, supervisor wages, and this can be up to 10% of the total grant request. We also fund capital and equipment-based projects, and they're eligible for up to $10,000. Some examples of this could be fencing, building enhancements, maybe a stove, computers, an AC unit, those kind of equipment or capital type projects. I briefly mentioned earlier about multi-year funding. So this is still an option for organizations who are implementing a pilot project or a substantially enhanced existing project, and just requires additional time to measure the outcomes. So this must be specified in the application, and you must provide a second year budget as well. Multi-year funding is not guaranteed, and it is based on interim report and funding availability. All right. So this is what CFSEA will not fund. This list here. So large capital projects. So we define that as new construction, expansion, renovation, infrastructure, or equipment over $10,000. So again, under, that's fine, but over $10,000 is beyond our what we will fund. So playground structures and recreation structures, something like basketball courts or splash parks or playgrounds, we will only fund up to $2,500. So if you're asking for that one, we just can't provide over $2,500. We will not fund retroactive funding. So that's even for multi-year grants. You can't spend year two's budget during year one. We can't fund directly politically purposed events or directly religious activities, debt reduction, or fundraising campaigns. Okay, so before you start, this is just kind of a little checklist to keep in mind. Are you a qualified donee, or do you have an affiliate that you can partner with? Does your project align with CFSEA's mission and vision to support a vibrant, healthy, and caring community? Be prepared to provide your audited financial statements and operating budget for the current year. Those will be separate attachments that you'll need to include in the application. And then you will also need to prepare your project budget. We have a template on the application that you'll be able to download, fill out, and then re-upload. So if you are applying for equipment or that infrastructure type grant, please also include multiple quotes to demonstrate the price that you're requesting. Bailey, I'll just take a quick moment here. Is there any chat questions that I should answer? We're about halfway through here.
None yet.
None yet. Okay, perfect. Feel free to type questions in the chat as we're going along, and I will definitely take some time at the end. All right, so this is what we would define as some project strengths. So we would like to see applicants demonstrate at least one, but typically many of the following strengths should be highlighted in your application. So your project improves the mission and mandate of your organization and improves the services offered. For example, an organization who recently received funding was unable to run an integral cultural and mental health program due to old equipment. So the grant they received will help them run a program directly related to their cause and increase their program capacity. Ensure that your project is evidence-based and demonstrates a real need. For example, an organization who recently applied referenced current events, local news articles, and stats to provide why their project was in need for the community. Ensure your application promotes collaboration. One recent grant applicant applied for a grant to run a program and partnered with 4 other agencies to receive referrals for at-risk youth to partake in the program. We love seeing collaboration with services, agencies, and businesses. So please be prepared to note those under your partnership question in your application. We also really appreciate understanding how your own organization will be contributing to this project. whether it's through current staff or additional funds or other ways that your organization shows that they are also prioritizing this project. All right, so this is getting kind of into the nitty-gritty details. The next two slides are screenshots from our budget template, and just want to kind of go over this. We have edited it a little bit, so if you've done it in past years, it'll look a little bit different. So this is a screenshot, like I said, of the budget. You can request up to $25,000 from the Community Foundation or up to $10,000 for equipment. Where this first arrow is you can title this with the project name at the top. We're asking that you include all expenses and all sources of revenue associated with a project in the first amount column. So this one right here. So if you have support from your agency or other funders or the government, you can include this in the total amount requested here. Then you will use the second amount column here to show which items the Community Foundation grant will cover. This is helpful if the grant is part of a larger project. If this is a smaller project and you have no other sources of revenue, that's okay too. Both amount columns will just look the same, essentially. So in this example, the agency is asking for $10,000 from the Community Foundation and providing $5,000 from their own agency fundraiser for a total revenue being $15,000 right here. Feel free to add any of those description or notes in that second column so our committee can understand your project better. All right, so this next slide is the budget expenditure. So this is right below it when you're seeing the full Excel form. Here is where we want you to explain your program costs and descriptions in the second column. This really helps our committee understand your project. So please be as descriptive as you can be. This is usually where I have to go back to people and look for some more details. So please just be as clear as you can. In this example, they're asking for $4,000 from the Community Foundation for staffing costs and providing an additional $5,000 from their own agency. So that's where you'll see the difference between the two amount columns. There is also a note on the administrative expense row that'll pop up when you hover over this in Excel. Just to remind you again that the Community Foundation may only cover up to 10% of administrative expenses. So again, those are things like utilities, rent, and supervisor salary, for example. On the bottom here, the total expenses will add up for you as well. That's automatically calculated as you put in the amounts in the rows. And then on the very bottom where this arrow is, the total expenses will also add up for you. So the net income, the very final roll, will equal 0 if you have done the budget correctly. So that's what you're looking for. I understand that budgets can be a little tricky, but they are truly so important for our committee to understand your request correctly. So if you're ever struggling with it or have any questions, again, reach out to me, please. Okay, so this is now getting into our application and how to start working on it. So we have a two-step application process, a letter of intent, LOI, as well as a full application. So the Community Foundation requires up to 7 days to process your letter of intent and send you the full application. So please, please, please don't wait until the day before to submit your LOI. This year, we actually are implementing a deadline for the LOI, which is still quite generous at March 14th at 9 a.m. So a day and a bit before the actual grant deadline. The reason we're doing this is so myself and our rural staff, we have a chance to actually review your project and see if it's eligible. That's the whole purpose of our LOI. So it also provides us an opportunity to kind of advise you on the aspects to highlight in the application. And we really like to provide you with feedback if required after your LOI is submitted. So again, that's why we're trying out a deadline for the LOI this year. If your letter of intent is approved, you will receive an email inviting you to complete your full application. So if you didn't receive an email inviting you to complete your full application, that means you might not have submitted your LOI, or it might be in your junk email. So please watch out for that once you have submitted your LOI. Also, just to kind of help you prepare, the application is split into 3 sections: organizational information, need and leverage, and outcome and impact. So that's kind of how it's split up to go through it. There are things to attach, like I mentioned, the budget and those audited financials. So if you're having any issues attaching those, please reach out to the staff here and we can assist you in attaching those for you. So I don't think I even started with, sorry, our application is online. It's on an online grant portal called the Grant Lifecycle Management, or GLM for short. So again, it's all online. You don't have to send us an email letter of intent. It's all streamlined for you on this online platform. So if you already have a profile on the grant platform, please don't create a new one. It kind of messes with the system. If you aren't sure or are unable to log in, please give us a call and we can support you. Sometimes it happens that someone has created one for your organization, but they've since left. So we are happy to help you with that if you are pretty sure that there is an account already for your organization. If you forget your password, you can easily reset your password by clicking that "Forgot your password" there. It just sends you a new link to reinstate your password. If you are a new user, you will need to create a new account. And during this process, you will need your CRA number to register. This is something that we can't take off, and it's a systems thing. We've talked to the systems planners with this, and there's no way to take it off. So if you're a non-qualified donee and you don't have a CRA number, we can help you with that. We will just give you something different to put in there. So just connect with our office for next steps, and we'll get you a number to put in the system. Okay. So grant application administration, again, just some more details here. I think I sound like a broken record at this point, but we really encourage applicants to connect with our office if you want to discuss project ideas or if you're having any issues throughout the application process. The CFSEA staff will connect with you if our committees have any questions after the application has been reviewed as well. So again, just keep in mind these deadlines. The deadline for the spring grant is March 15th at 4:30 p.m. That is a hard deadline. Again, it's set up in the system and I cannot change it. So just keep an eye on that. The LOI deadline this year is March 14th at 9 a.m. So if you haven't completed your letter of intent by that and submitted it by that date, you will not be able to fill out the full application. So get your letter of intent in as early as you can. This is the application review process. Some people just like to know the full picture of how it's being reviewed and who's making the decisions. So if you are applying for a grant and you're located in one of our 4 rural fund areas, so that would be Brookston District, County of 40 Mile, Cypress County, or the Prairie Crocus region, your grant will first be reviewed by a local advisory committee who then makes recommendations to our grants committee. So they're local, they understand the needs in your area, and they're making recommendations to the larger grants committee. If you're applying in Medicine Hat, it goes directly to our grants committee. The grants committee then reviews all grants and recommends recommendations from those advisory committees, and they make a final recommendation for funding to the board of directors. Our grants committee is made up of 10 community members and board members. And our committee declares any conflicts of interest prior to reviewing the grant applications. So for example, if a committee member sits on the board of a charity that's applying, they will excuse themselves during that conversation in the meeting. And grant decisions are finalized within 2 months of the application deadline. Notifications are first made through phone, then we follow up through email. All right, we're getting close to the end. So again, feel free to put questions in the chat box if you have any questions as we're going along, but I just have some final tips here. So when it comes time for a committee to evaluate the applications, there are many things to consider. I'll give you a few tips to help you understand the evaluation process. So please refer to the most current vital publication and the grant guideline document. It really helps if you read through these and understand what we're looking for and make sure you're eligible and qualified before you spend your time on the application. CFSEA prioritizes impact and regional support. Our committee is looking to make a large impact on a large region. The Southeastern Alberta region is large, and so again, they try to make that as equitable as possible and make sure every part of the region gets some funding from this community grant. My next tip is to make sure you simplify and use bullet form. Some grant writers have given me some feedback that they don't have enough room on some of the questions, but we truly do want bullet point. We want straight to the point answers, as simple as you can be. If our committee needs to read through dozens of applications, they just want the kind of Coles Notes version. Use numbers to showcase impact. So for an example, how many people will be impacted by this project? How many events per year will use this equipment? You can also think of that trickle down impact as well. Sometimes it's a program for parents, but it trickles down and it will impact their kids if it's, healthy parenting course or something. So think of that trickle down impact as well and articulate that on the application. Highlight partnerships. Again, to emphasize that our committee really likes to see partnerships. Look for community partnerships to integrate with or other funding partners that really make sense for your project. And yeah, when in doubt, connect with us. We're more than happy to help you. If you have a few ideas and want to brainstorm projects with us, connect with us and we'll help walk through that or help you understand maybe which one to go with. So we're here to help you and we're excited to see what projects are gonna move forward in Southeastern Alberta. All right, so I'm just going to leave the screen up here for just a moment as I get to questions. Before I do that, I also wanted to just quickly highlight and let you know that we also open our Community Impact Award grant in March. I believe it's going to be opening on March 15th. So the day this one closes, the next one will open. And this award offers a $25,000 grant to one agency that has an innovative idea that shows creativity and leadership. So you'll be able to apply for that for both grants if you wish, but they must be different projects. And we will have a separate webinar for this, again, a separate stream in March. So that's the Community Impact Award grant. You can read up more on our website if you want to learn more in advance, but just wanted to kind of keep that in the back of your mind as you're applying for the community grants, if you have a really impactful, creative new project, it could fit in line with that Community Impact Award. So just wanted to put that out there. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And if you guys if there's any questions and you wanted to come off mute as well, you can do that. I'm just gonna go to the questions here. My questions are, there we go. So someone said, Morgan said, for the letter of intent, is that accessible through the online portal to submit? Yes, it's the first thing that you do when you log into the grant platform. It's step one. It won't let you complete the application until you've completed the letter of intent. Amanda asked, can a registered charity apply for themselves and also support another organization by being a fiscal agent for a second funded project? Yes, to my understanding that we have done that before, so that shouldn't be a problem. Allison Van Dyke said, similar to Amanda's question, can a nonprofit apply and also support another organization with a separate, with their application on a separate project? Yes, I think that's pretty much the same question there, Allison. Did I answer it okay for you, Amanda and Allison?
I think so. I just want to make sure that, because you'd said that you can only apply once. So I think we're both just wanting to make sure that we don't get ourselves stuck in a spot where it looks like we're applying twice.
Right, I hear what you're saying. Yes, so as long as there's another, as long as that nonprofit is the one applying, a funder can only, it's how that online platform set up. So only one email address can be used for one application. So if you, Allison, are trying to apply for a registered charity and a nonprofit, you would have to create a separate email. Like if you're the grant writer for both, you would have to use a separate email, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sorry if I could just explain a little further. So like Community Food Connections would be applying for our community garden relocation. And but we are also have a letter of support in another organization that is on this call. I'm not going to say who they are, supporting their project as well, which is separate, a totally different project, but we're supportive of their work. So that would be okay for us to have that letter of support for their application as well as applying on our own for our own project.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Okay,
that's fine.
good. Thank you.
I think if I could just say, so I think the difference is they have to be two separate projects, very different. And which eliminates the applying for, you apply for half the money and I'll apply for half the money and we'll have a whole project. We don't want that. But in one is the lead in one project and the other one is simply a support in the second project.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. We do really like those partnerships and we want to see that collaboration. So that's wonderful that you have a letter of support for another agency. Perfect. Wonderful. Someone just, okay, yeah, no worries. If you have to take off, that's okay. Is there any other questions here? You're welcome to unmute yourself and ask questions or type in the chat box as well. 2 questions. Okay. Inside of what the Community Foundation won't fund, could you further elaborate on what large capital funding is? Yes, yeah, I can. So I have an example of a large capital project that was funded, or that got a portion of their funds funded last year. So the Dunmore Equestrian Society got a small $10,000 grant for their renovations to their bathrooms. That did not cover the full renovation, but rather a portion of it. It's part of a large capital campaign. I believe, please, I might be wrong here, but I believe it's a $200,000 project to renovate their building. And so you couldn't ask the Community Foundation for $200,000. We don't have that for this. So that would be their large capital funding. However, again, we will fund up to $10,000 of a capital campaign. And we like it if you can specify what part. So they specified the bathrooms is what they were requesting funding for. if you want to give me a thumbs up if that explained it, Blake, or feel free to come on and let me know if it didn't. Explained it perfect. And then Blake has a second question. Could you give me a bit more detail on what enhancing an organization's project or programs are? Yes, so if you come to us and you're applying for the same program, say it's a food related program, maybe a food bank type organization that has always given out hampers. That's what they do, right? So that's an ongoing project. But how could you enhance that food program? Maybe they're starting to do a side cooking class. Maybe they're starting to encourage shopping in the food program. Maybe they're including something in the food hampers that is an enhancement. Again, I don't want to tell you how to enhance your program, but if there is there something that can make it better, that can help more people? Yeah, just something to enhance it. I don't know if that helps at all, Blake, but we can always talk about it more individually if you have a program you're thinking of enhancing and wondering what that could look like individually. Chantel asked, how many total applications are granted in each round? Is it a dollar amount cap as a whole? So we don't give out the dollar amount. That's for kind of a later date. Oh, what's the average?
Maybe I can help with this, Sid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a number of different kinds of funding sources within our endowment. So typically these grants come from undesignated, which means that donors have said, you know, here's money, we want to give it to the community foundation. You decide the best place where it goes when you do your grant applications. There's some exceptions to that, but that's generally what it is. We base it on a total amount of two things. Well, how well did our investments do? Because we never spend the capital. It's the investment income that's made available for grants, as well as what is the percentage that either CRA says we have to give, or what the board decides. If we're doing really well, we'll give more, that kind of thing. So there's not a number of applications, but we do calculations that tell us how much money is available in our October and our spring amounts. But we don't release that because, you know, there might not be as many applications as there is money, or there could be a lot more money than there is applications. Did I say the same thing twice in a different way? I can't remember. Anyhow, but so it's not a number of applications, but we are limited in the amount of money we can give out.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, just to give you an idea, I guess for last fall, we received 4 times the ask than we had to give away. So I think the fall is usually our smaller cycle. To be honest, we have usually less in the fall. So I won't lie, it is a bit competitive that way. Yeah, that's the word you use, checking into the level of competition. Yeah. Yeah, I will. That's my, I guess, 2 cents to that. It's usually 3 to 4 times the amount requested than we have to give away. But it really does depend. Sometimes it's a lot of equipment asks. So those are, again, capped at that $10,000. So that spreads it a little further than, you know, 5 brand new programs asking for $25,000. So very different in what people could be asking for. Good question, though. Are there any other questions? Does anyone want to come off mute and ask a question, or type it in the chat?
Really simple question, but I like to ask the stupid questions instead of just doing a rejected grant application. Better for all our time. You guys look to fund primarily short-term,
America.
in NGO speak, that usually is about 6 months to a year.
So I
I'm
was
just
talking to
looking,
Mariana about
oh,
Sorry,
there's two of us speaking at the same
Jean,
time.
could
Sorry
you,
about that.
Jean, could you mute there?
Yeah.
We just have Levi asking a question and thank you. Go ahead, Levi.
Sorry about that. I was just looking to affirm, usually when I'm speaking to other NGOs, we're thinking of short-term as 3 months to a year. Are you thinking of that as kind of your baseline for what you're speaking of when it comes to short-term funding as well?
We're open to both, short or long-term projects, whatever is beneficial to your agency. You have up to, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but 18 months to spend the
She
funds.
doesn't want to.
So yeah, you can, yeah, that can be either a short-term project or part of a longer term. You can spend it at the beginning or at the end, that kind of thing. So, yeah. Does that help,
Thank you very
Levi?
much, Sydney. Yeah, thank you, Sydney.
For sure. Yes, and Blake said no more questions for now, but hoping to get this presentation. So yeah, we are recording it and we put it on our YouTube channel. If you didn't know, we have a YouTube channel. There's some fun webinars on there. You can go watch our YouTube or our website, and I will also email it out to anyone that was on our email list from today. Yeah, and once this webinar is over and I can log in to GLM, our grant platform, I will be opening the grant platform, so you can start that letter of intent this afternoon if you want. And again, my broken records spiel is please connect with me. Give me a call if you want to brainstorm some ideas. If you're in Brooks area, give Nicole a call. If you're in Cypress County, 40 Mile or Prairie Crocus area, give Helen a call. We're happy to brainstorm with you and help you figure out if your program or project is eligible and what would be the best fit. So yeah. Perfect. So yeah, if you got the invite to this Zoom, Chantel, I will be sure to send the email to this email. All right. Well, that's everything I have for you today. Reach out if you have any more questions. Bailey, can you end the recording there? And thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.